So
I'll go ahead and say it again. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get the Essential Business Committee to order for June the 23rd, 2021. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn it to Andrew to get us started.
very good. So the first item on our agenda this afternoon, would be to discuss the town square project, or the storyboard project that was presented at the last meeting, and then it had been discussed some, but not on the agenda for council. And so the discussion was that it would be, that central business would still be reviewing it, and then move it to town council at a later meeting. And so just wanted to start that conversation back up again, as far as reviewing, what is the town being asked to do from a cost standpoint, as well as, just any updates that the museum or CI may have, and just move the discussion along at this point. So I think, as far as the cost that were discussed before, it really hadn't changed too much from the original drawing. Let's see here. I think I do should have the PDF. I'll have to pull that back up. But at any rate, right, it hadn't really changed too much from the original drawing, and then the discussion that pursued after the second drawing was submitted, and the discussion regarding, do we want to go ahead and pursue that design. So I think we'll want to talk about that. Are we looking at design A or design B, and just overall pros and cons. We also talked about, at the last Central Business Committee, bringing this to a joint CI Museum Arts Board committee, which we did, and they were very supportive of the project. Moving forward, we did see it as kind of a later addition to the storyboard project, and so with that, I think that's still on the table as far as incorporating an arts project. But they did want to kind of move the discussion about about the storyboard project, or in the improvements to that portion of the square, as far as the walkways and such, forward first, before getting into any specific details of what the arts project would look like. And it was agreed that that the museum and CI would be a big part of that arts discussion as well when the time was right. So the second drawing that was submitted, as you'll recall, this was the first year that the town came up with, and then the second one, which is a bit more ornate, and then also concentrates the proposed signage here around the square. And then still has a proposed art exhibit here. And Randy, was this intended to be potentially
we had mentioned a water
like a water feature potentially in this area?
All right, so the town came up with that design.
So I guess the first design, if you go back,
All right, Bob.
I had RGIS person prepare this based on discussions with Bob and Chris. I think that basically the museum and CI had kind of come up with the concept of doing 3 reader boards. I think originally maybe on the outside edge, but I think between Bob and Chris talking, they got the idea of trying to do like an L-shaped area inside to accommodate them, and maybe put a couple benches with them. That's when they approached Andrew and I, and we met with Bob out there to just kind of go over how to lay out how it might work. And we came up with basically this, with the idea of, maybe potentially 6 reader boards, a couple of benches, and like I say, I guess a new parking stall. Bob took that to the museum and CI boards, and during that meeting, someone from the museum board came up with the idea that is the next drawing.
Right. He approached me after the meeting a couple of days. It was Tim Guthrie, who's with Gay and Neal. So, he had the town drawings from doing all the other sidewalk projects. So this was his idea, and we presented them both to this committee at the first meeting. Seems like at the Art Advisory Board, they really liked this design over the first one. I know from one of the comments that y'all have received, they feel like the existing monument's getting blocked. I think existing monument's going to have more exposure this way. But that one relocated trail sign that Tim put there, if that's one that's presently over against the sidewalk. I mean, it could go anywhere else again, opposite, say, the proposed bench or something, if someone thinks that sign is taken away from the existing monument. But I would like for Mr. Bishop, this committee to make a recommendation for which preference to council. Do we even need, when we go to council, if this is the one the committee and our advisory board likes, do we need to present the first one to council or vice versa?
Can we go back to the first one, please?
I think we can get more signs on that second one. And ideal, I think Tim had on the first one, you get a brick pattern to match existing sidewalks, and you'd have more room for more people to be there looking at signs, say a small school group or just a tourist in general.
Okay, the second drawing that had the 5 or 6 signs?
Yeah.
Are those gonna be signs of different projects or 6 signs of CI?
Different projects. We just showed the room. Randy and I discussed doing one on the history of Christiansburg, and that would leave a couple more projects. Could either be future African American education or something on history of Montgomery County. The art. Where he's got that circle there, I kind of thought it would be a little further away from the circle, to kind of match the existing monument, maybe in distance from the circle.
Yeah, because I mean, he said here looking at what I see, it looks kind of crowded.
Yes. I think you got enough space back near the closer to that tree he's showing to put that there.
All right, so I guess my question I would have is, off the top of your head and the museum's head, since Casey's on board, how many signs are you CI and the museum looking at themselves?
We're looking at those where he's got proposed signs 1, 2, and 3. So we have 3 to look at. This just leaves us room to do in the future. Where he's got future signs. We don't have any preconceived ideals other than I think a museum will put together the one on the history of town of Christiansburg.
Personally, I could maybe foresee a panel like about Native American population in the area, maybe a panel about like Friar Hans and the first European settlers to the area, and maybe a panel about like David Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett. I guess frontier settlement type of period of the town.
Right. I see this as kind of a history square. We're celebrating the lives of African Americans, but that we can add other historical facts to the future signs.
Yeah, because I'll be honest with you, some of the feedback that we have been receiving by email and stuff like that, unfortunately, a lot of the emails were really not in favor of making this a quote, the CI project. So I don't know if it's miscommunication or what's going on, but I get the feeling that a lot of the people in the community, well, I'll say a lot, some people in the community and even outside, once again, think this is all about CI only. And of course, then we bring up the object, the thing with the, okay, you know, we got the monument, what you're trying to do, hide the monument. So we got a lot to look at, especially when it comes to the community, you know, how do they feel about this? You know, and I know during our last meeting, I don't think the museum was on board, well, not on board, wasn't present. So we're now, Casey's here now. And so Jenny, you're with the museum, correct?
Ms. Christiansburg Institute, Inc. Yes. Museum.
Okay.
And
Sam,
yeah.
can I ask a question here? I see in the design, it mentions our existing Christiansburg oak tree. There had been some concern, and I think it had been discussed, wasn't it, Randy, in the past 2 years about the condition of that tree? Just in your planning of this, Bob, to think about that? Because I know that was a big concern 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Well,
it's been several years ago that we did look at the possibility of having to take the tree down. Although we had Michael Hughesman take a look and actually do a little pruning to it, and we think it's in decent enough shape that it's still up vibrant, I guess.
I would like to say that that tree was in a celebration of the 1902 Virginia Constitution, which brought in the Jim Crow laws in Virginia. So we started, this idea of doing a sign on the square started with the museum. And I got a little vocal about it, it's how I ended up co-chairing. So we moved on past interpreting the Jim Crow laws to celebrating the history of African Americans in the county. So we went from one sign about that to 3 signs kind of unrelated. So, you know, we're not interpreting that tree or saying anything about the tree. We just want to celebrate and recognize the African American communities in the county.
All right. So,
And I realize that a lot of the opposition emails that I have seen have been furnished to me from maybe other council members. Most of the people have some relationship to the United Daughters of Confederacy, and there's one who wrote the initial email has got out and got other members of that and members of the Sons of Confederate Veterans to send emails about it. And I don't totally understand part about blocking monument. The only one sign is the one that says relocated trail signs, and that's existing, and that could go somewhere else if they feel like that's blocking that sign somewhere else. Personally, I think it's making their monument more visible, more accessible with the sidewalks intersecting there near it.
Sorry, Bob.
Go ahead, Casey.
I'll just reiterate as well that this quadrant was strategically located due to its historical significance in this idea to propose this location. And what we want to do collectively simply is share the whole story of Montgomery County, which the museum is charged to do, and certainly CI overlaps with much of that history, to where we are using this as a platform to show the whole story. And so in no way do we want to shadow what is already there. We simply want to use this space to complete the story.
And additionally, just to tack on to a comment, the 3 signs, which I'm sure everyone's seen by now, it encompasses all of African American history in the county. not just CI, though of course CI plays an important role in that history.
Okay, I didn't get to see the sign. Are those the ones that y'all had on display on the Juneteenth event?
No, those so those are separate signs that are going to be installed on CI's campus, and those are specifically about the history of CI. These are the signs that we are proposing to be installed downtown.
So there's one on education that covers not just CI, and there's one on slavery.
I can put before we. Go ahead, Bob, I'm sorry.
Yeah, one on education, one on slavery, and the third one we proposed is community life. That one's not quite finalized yet because we're looking for additional pictures of organizations, churches, schools. And our concept is do a map of the different communities, Black communities in the county. And these are the ones we identified so far. We're trying to be real careful on this and make sure we're not missing any communities. And like I say, we'd like to have some more pictures.
Okay, Bob, Casey, question for y'all too. How could we go about educating the public that this is not just a quote CI project, more or less is a history of Montgomery County? But those are questions gonna come before council is, why is this CI, why is this CI versus they don't see the big picture as Montgomery County right now. So how do we address those concerns?
I can take a first stab.
Right.
Well, I think, I mean, certainly any public platform like this is important to stress that for anything that's being said here, that it's definitely a joint endeavor. And I think one of the things that that both organizations are very open to is hosting community conversations around this topic, to where we are describing the joint nature of this project and doing that in the form of listening sessions and feedback sessions that we can use in addition to letters of support from downtown businesses, sort of all the above that we can kind of have at our disposal to help people understand the intent of this project, and more importantly that it's a joint endeavor of the two organizations taking this charge together.
Okay, Bob, you have anything to add to that?
I'm still hearing this CI project mainly from this core group related to UDC or somewhere. And I think it's intentional misrepresentation.
Okay.
Is my feeling on that. I think if people get out and read, if they read these slides, and I know we hadn't presented them to council, unfortunately, we wanted to present to your committee and go through the pathway, and then all this other started. So council hearing all about it, but they haven't seen the slides.
Sure.
Which is unfortunate, you know, and maybe we go on and send those to council.
I was actually thinking I'll send them to council on a weekly update this week, just so they can have them ahead of time.
Well,
and know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Bob, Kate, Jenny, are y'all, say within 2 weeks, are you prepared to present something to council as a whole?
Yes, well, we asked Randy if we could be on the next council meeting. And if that's okay with you, I just think it'd be important to have a recommendation from your committee if possible on it. But yes, I plan on being there, and CI, whether it's Chris or Jenny or a combination of all of us, to present.
Okay.
Well, answer questions. That's the big thing. We just don't know how many people that supporting just a monument there will show up versus people supporting the project. I can't imagine that there won't be a lot of support on the museum CI side.
Okay, well, that was was my concern too, is once again, I think before council was able to hear the whole picture, everything started getting out. So
Yes,
today, if you come to council now, it's probably a good idea. And, if they ask for our central business recommendation, probably at this point, we're not ready to make one, say in 2 weeks. Until I get to talk about Marissa and we can all get together again. But I just think we need to educate the community what this whole project is and try to get that. I mean, I don't know why people are against CI, but that's all I hear is, CI is trying to take over, CI is trying to take over.
right. And as I said, the museum approached CI and said, can we do this project jointly? So
Right.
it became CI. Unfortunately, it came from someone that was on the museum board, as you've probably heard.
Yes.
That was in a meeting that was confidential, and but suddenly letters were written to the mayor and to council members, and that's just unfortunately that's where we're at today, and kind of got out of order the way we wanted to present things. Do you think it's too early to be at the next council meeting then?
Personally, I don't. I mean, once again, we need to start sooner than later to educate the community of what you are looking at doing. Once again, and then of course, if council comes and asks us once again, has central business made a decision, and we may end up saying we have not. But once again, I just think we need to get we need to get the information out there to the community, let them know what this project is about. Because I'm a strong believer in CI because they've come a long way. I had heartburns, concerns years back, but they've come a long way. But once again, we just need to know that I keep saying that this is not only a CI project. We got the Montgomery Museum involved in this. So in the beginning, to be honest with you, all I heard was CI, CI, CI. I didn't heard very little about the museum being involved till later on when other things came up, even the emails.
So Sam, if I'm hearing you correctly, what you would like before a recommendation from central business is for the narrative to become stronger in emphasizing the joint nature of this project and educating the community on what the intention of this project is before central business is ready to give a recommendation?
Yeah, I think that's basically what I'm looking at. And I would, of course, would love for Marissa to be here also, and all central business members. But we can't all be here. I mean, we can always go back and video the tapes and stuff like that to see what's going on. But so I guess Casey, my question to you would be, and Bob and Jenny, not trying to forget you, Jenny, is that if there are more information you can bring to central business to help us, if we're on the fence, to help us make up our minds, other than what we're seeing right now and here. And what I hear, I don't believe about 5% of it, 10%.
Right. So to that end, is there anything specifically that you would like to see us do to build up that vote of confidence?
Okay, good question. Okay. And, and once again, that's why I would like to get with Marissa.
Okay.
If nothing else for us to, Marissa and I, not leaving these guys out by any means, but even bring them for us to say, this is what we would like to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, sorry, Sam.
I would say my biggest concern is still, I'm going to use the term rumors that's spreading around. We need to squash that as soon as we can. And as I keep saying we, because
Sure.
Because as you say, council members are getting emails. I know.
So I think as part of that, maybe in that first meeting in July, we go on and make our presentation to council. And even if council refers it back to you for your next meeting, but let's go on and get it before council. The presentation, what do you think? What do you think about that?
That's what I'm thinking.
I
Yeah,
think
okay.
that's fine. It might give you a general idea of the temperature of the whole council for the whole project.
Right.
And, you know, they might have a few ideas for the project too, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I would, yeah, I'm sitting here shaking my head as both, you know, central business and because I would love to see this come back in our next council meeting, what, 2 weeks, if y'all can do it. I'm sure you can.
Yeah,
I know, I know you can. So
basically, we was going to give this same presentation, edited a little bit, but same presentation as Andrew's pulled up here.
Okay.
The biggest question we got to limit ourselves to 10 minutes. So that's
Right.
Okay, I want you also, Bob, Casey, and whoever comes, keep in mind of the time limit that you have.
Right.
You know, I know it's
10
some,
minutes.
yeah, it's not a lot of time, especially if you want to get people in deep, but you know, do as much as you can to use the term sell it. I don't have to tell y'all this.
and I don't mind saying publicly to some people who are saying all these signs need to be at CI and why they're putting them downtown, let's go to CI. And I'm gonna say that's segregation all over again. I mean, that's what it is. When I grew up and Sam, you remember this, it was Depot Street. So are they trying to make it all over at CI now? And I just think I gotta call it like it is.
All right, and keep in mind, I'm jumping for 5 again because I'm getting a little bit of age on me.
Okay.
Your 10 minutes, what you left me, Casey?
I'm laughing with you, Sam, not at you.
Oh, okay, yeah. Your 10 minutes don't include if we start asking you a lot of questions.
Okay, good.
So I can't go on longer, depends on the questions that come to, I'm gonna use the term committee.
Right.
So, your 10 minutes is to say, here it is, then after that, we can go on for hopefully not all night, but for a little while longer. Just depends on the questions.
Okay. So, and between the next 2 weeks, outside of, so preparing for this presentation to council and having these slides given to the rest of council, I think that Randy had mentioned in a weekly update. Is there anything else that you would specifically like us to do to prepare council between now and then within these 2 weeks that helps that process day of on the first meeting?
Yeah, one thing, I'm not sure if all of council has seen the article that was sent by the CI Museum to Roanoke Times. I know, Public Relations Department usually pulls together articles and they're doing that now. So I don't think that's actually been sent to them yet. So it's possible that I think that provides some background as well. So I think that article along with, and maybe that's an attachment to when, if you send out, the presentation, to provide a little bit of background and allow folks to read about it at their leisure.
I can put these in the packet as well, the panel sketches, schematics.
I guess one thing that may just ease conversation, if we're all fairly comfortable with the more circular design, is that something that we just want to kind of go away from the L design at this point? So really focusing towards, because I mean, it's almost like it's not necessarily, sure. Because in my mind, it's more it's just the second generation of the design as opposed to two competing designs.
Each of us get rid of that one.
Yeah, possibly, unless you would want that to be part of the conversation.
No,
I
I think I like that better because I think it's better utilization.
This one.
This one here.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes you get people too many choices, they get confused. You know, and I see what Andrew was saying. We present this one, the second version, and then if they have any changes, let's go from that point on. Let's don't do both. Let's go with one, and hopefully let that sink in for a little bit.
You know, we.
And Sam, may I make a suggestion for Bob and Casey and Jenny, whoever's going to make the presentation? You might want to include one of the panels, maybe Casey and the museum could put one together to show an example of what might be of Christiansburg's history. And, you know, that might relieve some of the things you're saying you're hearing, Bob, and maybe even Sam, that it's just a CI project. If you just had another panel in there, I think of showing just in general Christiansburg history.
Okay.
All right, well, let's say, we'll go ahead, I mean, because once again, you know, Marissa and I have been talking, not deeply, just in passing, you know, as part of the arts committee, and I know you, I won't say this, I hope no one's feeling that the arts committee is trying to come in and take over this project.
Oh, absolutely not.
I think there was some other tension before between one of y'all's members and that they was like, we, the arts committee, since it's coming in and taking over. And as far as I know, we got other things to do. I'm not saying better things. We have other, yeah, okay, I'm watching you. We have other things to do. But, you know, I don't, you know, I hope that you're not feeling that the arts committee is coming in and trying to take over the project. You know, if so, then to be honest with you, I would like to hear feedback on that.
Well, I didn't feel like that from the meeting at all. In fact, you know, they said they'd love to work with us and us come up with parameters from the Black. I felt like it was going to be a good relationship, that when our committee had time after we did our presentation, because this idea came up later in the conversations, that we would come up with parameters. Maybe, you know, it needs to be related to African American history, and that maybe an African American artist or something like that, and then get with them for a joint joint meeting and let them take. So I thought I guess I'm mumbling, I'm saying I thought it was a collaborative ideal, and I didn't pick up on that at all.
All right, thank you, Bob.
Yeah, and to that end, I think it's a great, I mean, a civic nonprofit partnership for the use of those funds, especially perhaps it's the first use of those funds since the town acquired them. I think is a great, that's a great first way to use some of the donated funds for an art project there.
Yeah. Well, I say, you know, once again, we do have some money set aside for the art project. You know, we don't use it, so we just sitting there. Then I probably don't want to know, what are you doing for money? You know, we gave you money.
Right.
Somebody gives you money to spend. You make that use of it.
That's right.
One thing, going back to we was about sending out to council members, maybe a couple of newspaper articles. I don't know if you saw it, but Channel 7 did an excellent interview at the museum with Casey and Chris and Debbie Sherman Lee about the sign. So if you don't have that link, I can email you that link if you want to send that out to council also.
Y'all have? I don't remember seeing it. So.
You never seen it? Okay.
You can send that to us.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yes.
great. Awesome. And I would agree with the comment that you made earlier, Bob, to offset the proposed art exhibit, you know, at the same distance as the existing monument on the opposite side. I do think that, I don't know if, you know, if we felt strongly enough that would need to be done before it goes to council, or if that's something that could just be noted.
Yeah, if Tim's in his office, I think he can do that in a matter of a few minutes.
Mhm.
Uh,
We can
That'd
have
be
that
great to
changed
have an
real quick.
update. Yeah, that'd be great to have an update.
Okay, we'll get that changed then. And Randy, when are you going to send out something to council so I know how much
I'll
time
probably send it on Friday.
on Friday? Okay,
What I was planning on sending them, I'll probably send them both drawings, although I think they've seen them. And I'll send them the verbiage on the 3 panels.
right.
That's a good question.
Um,
So the town in turmoil sign, was that
Yeah, where'd that
part
sign
of the
come from?
state? Was it a state historic resource? sign?
I think it was. It was.
I'm asking about the current sound. Where did it come from?
There, Jenny, you can answer that better than I can.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a statewide nonprofit Civil War Trails, I believe. And that's been there for at least a decade. Bob, you have a longer memory than I.
Oh,
Right,
wow.
right. There's a Civil Wars Trails Commission. I think each state may has one, and there's 3 or 4 in the county got put up. And Jenny's right. I think it's probably been 10 years. The sign is showing its age.
Yeah.
And they wanted somebody to kind of take, I'll use the word ownership of it. And that came, Lisa Bleakley said she took that. So I guess it's with the tourism group, who's now is the unofficial owner or person in charge of that sign.
Okay. All right, because that was one of the concerns that we've heard about is, like I said, moving that sign. Like, I mean, I don't know what to be, once again, who picked that location?
And see, I don't know. That wasn't a museum. I know who was kind of in charge, but it wasn't a museum involved. They did ask, I think, Sherry to read some of the verbiage, and they borrowed a picture of a cavalry saber that was made in Christiansburg that I own, and they put that pic. But that was my extent of involvement. I said, yes, you can use that picture of that cavalry saber. So I think there's an individual, April Danner Martin, who helped put these together and for the commission.
And one of the things too I'm aware of with these signs, in recalling conversations with Lisa last year, I think there's 3 of these across the county that, and there is a, I don't know what the fee is. I don't think it's very large, but nonetheless, there is a fee to carry these signs that tourism has been carrying for a while. And I know there was talk about offloading that to cultural institutions based on their location. So I know that it was proposed that that museum could sort of oversee one. I think Smithfield could do one that's positioned in Blacksburg, et cetera. That has never happened yet, but it was something that Lisa was looking to offload since there was a cost associated with it.
Additionally, CI Inc. has spoken with the director, Drew, I'm blanking on his last name. And there has been discussion about moving that sign. So moving it in a different area within the square shouldn't be an issue.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's was one of the negative comments that I've heard, is moving the sign even to another area, like where the drawings showing. So I guess we just prepare for that type of negative comments to come to us and everyone else. Why even move the sign,
Right. So assuming the sidewalk will go right beside it, that sign, if there's room for that sidewalk to go there, which there should be, that kind of sign can stay where it is if it needs to be. We just thought it would flow better if people was walking around in a circle reading the signs, that you could read them as you walked around. But
Gotcha.
if that's a big deal, it'd be cheaper to leave it where it's at.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions right now, but I would love to see y'all come back, hopefully, like I say, on our next council agenda and present, because it's out there. People's putting stuff out now, so let's squash it as soon as we can. And once again, if they say, have we, Central Business, made a recommendation, we probably haven't at this time. I mean, that's won't be the first time we've done it, because we had a couple events downtown. I'm bringing up the subject again with the clock,
Right.
back and forth. So some things don't happen overnight because you want to do them correctly and it takes time. But yeah,
The only item that I could think of that came up at the staff level was some of the pictures on the 3 storyboard signs have pictures and drawings have dates, circa dates and such, and some don't. And wondering if there's a way to go back and look to make sure that, you know, if there is an available date, that it is put on a portrait or a painting, just for consistency.
Yeah, that's something we can do. If some of these are undated, but we could either indicate that or do a circa and make our best guess. I also wanted to offer additionally, if anyone here or on town council after we present want to discuss the content of the signs and learn more about it or look at our source material, you know, our mission is to educate, and I'm sure Sherry at the Montgomery Museum would be happy to speak with people. Myself at CI, I'm always happy to talk about this history.
One thing I don't think we've mentioned, but just for knowledge, and I knew from day one, how was we going to put all the history, condense it to 3 boards, and I think Jenny and Sherry's done a good job of that. But we're also looking at putting on the frame of the sign a QR code for those younger than me, that would lead to websites that would give more detailed history that we've had to leave off the sign. So we will be looking to put those QR codes on there.
okay, so I guess another question I would have is what I'm seeing. I know we're doing history of Montgomery County, but is the main focus the Black history of Montgomery County?
At the present time, yes, sir.
Okay, because I'm not, that's what I thought, that's which, no, I'm not gonna be against, but you know, that'd be one of the questions, you know, why just Black, well, sometimes Black history has been, as y'all know, forgotten.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so let's make sure that I'm on the same track that you are on.
Right.
Okay. All right,
Okay. Well, we thank you for your time, Mr. Bishop. And
all right.
Yes.
So y'all be prepared to give us a overview in 2 weeks, us as town council.
yes, sir.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
And anything that we have, we will go ahead and send to the other council members, at least make sure that they have a understanding of what's going on. Because once again, I just want to squash this rumor. And once again, Jenny, nothing against CI, because you know, that's the least of my worries is this, but that's all I've heard is CI. But I think once people see this, it's the history of Montgomery County. All right,
Right.
Casey,
Got it. Yes, sir. Thank you.
we'll see you later.
I'll catch up with you.
All right,
Take care, guys. Thank you.
okay,
Thank you.
Have a good one.
all right.
All right.
What's next on my agenda? It's the,
So I do, yes, let me pull up the agenda here real quick.
yeah, watch Marty scratch.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Marty, we watching you, go ahead.
I think it is, I think Marty is up on the agenda. This is somewhat reason it closed out of my account, or when I had the agenda open. So let me open that back up again.
So it's not just mine there, where at home then, huh?
No, something is.
I makes me wonder if it's here then.
Very well. So, Marty, can you see the agenda now?
No, it just shows the T drive where you're going to it, but it doesn't show the agenda.
Thank you.
But I have my copy of the agenda as long as you guys have your copy.
Okay, we should be square now.
There it is.
You're showing great. So yeah, so we're really for we're at item B with the farmers market, and it's the first item that we wanted to talk about. There was and I'll let Marty and Randy chime in here real quick since they're more familiar with it, but there was an incident early on with the market. Was it the first day, Marty?
It was 5/27/21. we knew that we were probably going to have to deal with a lot of wind up here. At that time, we required, even going into the first market, everyone with tents had to have weights on them, including us. We went with the normal, we doubled up on the normal weights that you can buy to purchase to put on the tent legs, which are about 5 to 10 pounds. So we had, each leg had 2 of those on it. And we did have them tied down in the areas that we could tie them down because being in the parking lot. And it was about 2 p.m. right before we got open. The wind really got up, and this was the second day of the market. The first day of the market, we had some wind problems that people had to take tents down in order to be part of the market that day. But it took the tent into traffic in North Franklin. I was able to chase after it and slow traffic down that was incoming to the area where we're located from the Cambria and North Franklin intersection, with it being the busiest. And we probably were lucky that we didn't have more involvement or more incident or accident, but the traffic did slow down. The tent continued to blow across the North Franklin and did strike a vehicle. At that time, the person did not file a report or did not even stop after the chink got past them. But then their daughter called me the next day and did file a report. We filed it with our insurance company, and the insurance company ruled that it was not covered because they called it an act of God. It was approximately for about $524 to sand down and repaint the hood of the vehicle. I turned in everything to the insurance company, and so did the person that filed the claim. So at this point, we wanted to bring it to you, and both myself and Brad Epperly felt like to be good stewards of the community, that we should go ahead and pay it, even though our insurance would not. And so that's where we stand on that, for approximately $524 to fix the vehicle that our insurance company would not cover.
It's the situation with the insurance, and that's all honesty. The expectation is that the insurance would turn it down when we asked them to turn it into insurance. Our insurance, basically because of our sovereign immunity, the fact that we have to basically have responsibility, we have to be kind of negligibly liable, that we have to be aware of a situation and being a problem, and kind of not fix it within a reasonable time period before it being a problem. As long as we're kind of operating within those parameters, then the insurance will typically deny our claims. So that's just the normal expectation. That they will do it. I'll give you a couple of good examples with like sewer backups. They'll deny claims if it's the first backup in the area and it's kind of provable that we know it's the town's fault. They won't cover the first claim. They kind of basically say, well, we weren't aware there was a problem, so it's not the town's responsibility. Beyond that, then I think you kind of do have more liability once the town's aware there's a problem. But like I say, kind of first claims like this of a problem that they typically deny. To give you another example of a claim that they denied, it was kind of no responsibility of the town, but we had a lens fall out of the stoplight at Burger King down here on Main Street and break somebody's windshield, and the insurance wouldn't cover that because, again, town didn't really do anything wrong. We actually got the lens manufacturer to cover the cost by talking to them, but Barry went to council, and I think council paid it. I think we wound up getting reimbursed by the lens maker because we wanted to pay for the latest windshield, and it was just kind of hard to deal with the lens company, but they wound up reimbursing us. But like I say, kind of first claim where we weren't aware there's potential for a problem, then they're going to deny. Okay. Although that doesn't mean that we weren't at fault. Right. If it wasn't for our intent, the car would have been damaged.
Yeah, I think that was one of the concerns that we had originally, before we move to the rec center with is what if, what if the tents get blown out in the road and stuff like that? But, why not talk a little bit, and I agree, even for good PR, if nothing else, for that small amount, I think the town should write them a check.
And just to tell you, based on that, I'm going to cover it because that's what I do with these things is I typically take them to the committee that's involved, like sewer backups. I
Right.
take them to the water and waste committee.
Yeah.
And I think Barry took the wins to the full council just because it wasn't.
Yeah,
But like I say, I think just based on that, I'll cover it.
okay,
And we have taken extra precaution, starting the week after this incident. We're now putting as much as 50 pounds of weights, literally from the weight room. They are 50-pound weights tied down to each corner. And then we are tying them down to every pole and as much as we can in the ground. So we're taking extra precautions because of this that happened. So, so far that's worked, putting the extra weights on them in addition to what is typically expected for a tent weight.
okay.
So you're getting a workout too, is that what you're saying? Carrying all those weights around.
He ain't Colonel.
And it's going to intern for.
He ain't Colonel.
Any other questions on that?
I have no.
So I guess that moves us to your update, Mark.
Yeah, just to get you an update, last week we had 678 people attend the market. The week before, we did have the hour-and-a-half rain delay, and we still had 525 people. So right now we're averaging about 621 people for, in just 5 weeks. We've had 3,109 people attend the market. So very happy with that, and we're just starting now to finally have live music and the children's events. So I think it's still going to pick up, and I think we still haven't nowhere reached the peak of what we're seeing right now.
Excellent. Well,
I
with
haven't.
that,
Any questions?
No, sir. No, ma'am. Whichever.
And I will update you on the July 4th if you want to do it now, or we can do it under other business if you like.
sure, that would be great if you want to go ahead and do that now.
Of course, we'll have the live music and food and kids zone and vendors downtown starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday, July 3rd. We typically stay away from the Sunday, July 4th. It happens every 7 years. And we've managed to, have it as an additional day. But this year we backed it off to the July 3rd, which will allow a lot of people to still go on Sunday and have their July 4th at other places. But at 10:30 we'll have Gate 10, that is a bluegrass group, which happens to be, it was started from the Crooked Road music program that the council heard about. And I think they started 5 years ago. And they have Gate 10's put out their first CD, and they play bluegrass. They have a 9-year-old banjo player from Christiansburg, and the rest of the band are youngsters all the way up to 21 years old. It's come through that program, and they're based out of Patrick County and Floyd County. So we're very lucky to get them to open, as they're in hot demand right now. At noon, we'll have Flannel Jukebox, which is a local group that their duo, 2 of the 4 members performed at the market 3 weeks ago and got great response. And then Don and the Deltones group, right now they're going as Don and the Deltones Plus, without Don, of course, will be our headline group at 1:30. So we've got 3 good musical groups planned. Right now we're looking at 6 food trucks, ranging from ice cream and snow cones to cupcakes, and the wings guys that were at the market 2 weeks ago And then we'll have one with hot dogs and barbecue. So we got a wide variety there. Also, the Virginia Department of Health is going to set up, they originally were going to bring their vaccination bus down, but they're going to do it now under tents. But they're going to do continue COVID-19 vaccinations at as part of the July 4th celebration. We're looking at right now, we're probably got 35 vendors that we'll have spread out from the town square all the way up to, past the United Way building. And that's where our food truck area will be set up. So people can still go to the pocket park and things like that as the 4th goes along. And, you know, we've tried to emphasize it, and the PR office has, that the fireworks will be launched at the new future signature park, the regional park. So that has been an adjustment on our fireworks, where we've been firing it across the street. This year it'll come from the park, and people can set still in the mall and those areas, and we will restrict, no one will be allowed in the park area as part of the firing of fireworks.
Well, that sounds great, Marty. Thanks for that update.
You gonna move the fire, you think it's gonna have the same visibility?
I think the visibility will be better, and we're able to we're looking at doing a bigger fireworks show this year because of able to use the geographic part of the park, that we should be able to make it even a larger one this year.
Okay. That's all I have.
Well, that's exciting to have activity back downtown as well for the 3rd, and then as Parks and Rec always does, you're notifying all the businesses as well, you know, that the street's going to be closed, and I imagine that's part of your process as well. So
yeah, we always do that.
Yeah,
Do it personally and through email.
Yeah, that goes a long way. So, well, that's great. Well, I think that brings us to side grant program, which I think you know is right now. We have it looks like the review committee is interested in funding to some degree all 5 applications, and we're finalizing getting back to the applicants that were in question of what we would fund. So we'll have additional information for the review committee hopefully in the next week, probably 10 days. So have some scheduled time off next week, and then we'll have final decisions and probably bring that back to central business at the next meeting.
All right.
Unless you wanted to bring it directly to council at that point, since you all are both involved with the selection.
I would think probably at this point, since we are already involved,
Yeah.
and you can send us emails anyway.
Right.
I think once we all have checked out on it.
Yeah, it makes sense
The
just to go
council,
directly to
yeah.
council. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll plan to have that in front of council on July 13th.
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right.
Cool, excellent. And then the rally grant update is next. So the rally folks are with Downtown Christians Bring Inc. are working through the community foundation, give local day, and so that is today, and they are having a celebration at the Pocket Park. I believe it kicks off at 4 to 7, and I think they have an ABC license, so they're going to do 2 drinks for $10, 2 drink tickets, and they're going to have cornhole and different lawn games and picnic tables out there. So they're hoping that will be a good fundraiser for them today. So and that really is that would bring us to other business. I do have one item for other business, which was the kind of a follow-up from something that Marissa had brought up regarding doing a sign next to the love sign at the aquatic center. So just to basically identify where you are, and if you'd like to make a post, for on Twitter, Instagram. And so it says the place to love, Christiansburg, Virginia, hashtag Christiansburg is for lovers. And this was actually done as a template. We thought that we would just be getting a drawing or something, but Public Works was able to do it pretty efficiently, and they think they could even do another one better if we chose to go that route. So
It's got a couple air bubbles in it, but we could go with that too.
yeah. So we could go ahead and get this posted. Basically, it would be a smaller post, probably 2 to 3 feet above the ground, to the right of the love sign.
Mhm.
And then, but again, we could go with it, and then if things need to be changed later, we want to change the hashtag, we could do that. Whatever, but I did think it came out, I thought it came out really nice.
It
Yeah,
looks pretty sharp.
yeah.
I'm gonna show my age here.
Yeah.
What does hashtag mean? I mean, is it a website? I mean, I say that.
Come on now.
Yeah. Well, Marty, you're the
What is that?
hippest guy here, Marty. You tell
Yeah,
us.
go ahead. What does hashtag mean?
So you would just put it at the end of a Twitter post or Instagram post.
See, I don't have Twitter.
And then it could trend and other people could pick it up and run with it and put that hashtag, so it would be tied together as posts as Christiansburg is for lovers. So,
Okay.
and our public relations department's going to probably be correcting me here in a little bit. I think
Okay.
I have that as good as I could do it. So.
So we can have a Twitter account.
Right,
or something.
right.
So I'm not.
So people that want to post a picture, like on Instagram, and they want to have themselves next to the love sign,
Yeah.
they could post it and on their Instagram put, hashtag Christiansburg for lovers, hashtag, great times, or whatever else they want to put,
Okay.
and so it just creates a link
Gotcha.
to it.
All right. I got it, Marty. Okay. I mean, looks good to me. I mean, because like I said, if nothing else, it's easy to switch it out if we need to, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Okay. It's good to me.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get with Public Works to get it posted.
All right.
And that's all I have for other business.
All right. Marty, you have anything else?
That's all we got right now. We've got some things underway, in the planning that we'll be ready to tell you about, like the Rockin' on Main Street is close to being finalized, and that'll be held in September.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. If there's no other business to come before this committee, I say we are adjourned. All
Thank you,
right.
Marty.
Thanks.
Bye, Marty, and everyone else. All right. I know that I heard this. I think it had to be somewhere people communicate with each other. This hashtag this.